Blessed be, guys and ghouls. We're out here in the back garden today because it is an absolutely beautiful day and there is no way I was going to be able to film this inside. So today we're going to be talking about runes. Let's cut to the chase. What are runes? The most ancient runes were carved into stone, bone, wood. Modern runes are also carved into clay or dough or gemstones. I've also seen them made out of typewriter keys and bottle caps. Really, the possibilities are endless. Now, ancient Norse runes date back to around 160 CE. This ancient alphabet, known as the Elder Futhark, was replaced in around 700 with what is now known as the Younger Futhark. In fact, the symbol we all know and love for Bluetooth comes from two Younger Futhark runes combined, which literally translates into Bluetooth. These were the initials of Harald Bluetooth. There are typically 24 to 26 runes in every rune set. Now, runes could be alphabetical, but they are also symbolic, thus why they are such great tools to use in divination. People can use runes in fortune telling, decision making, spell casting, or in meditation. Now, when using runes in divination, it is always really important to remember a few key things. First and foremost, it's important to cleanse your runes regularly. You can cleanse runes in many different ways. Some people will have them soak up the full moonlight. Some people will cleanse them in natural water, not tap water. I'm talking seawater or river water, creek water, things like that. You can also cleanse your runes by washing them in homemade salt water if you're not near any natural bodies of water. Or you can cleanse your runes with smoke. Typically things like sage smoke or cedar smoke are really, really good choices. And then once your runes have been used, a lot of people, including myself, find it really helpful to carry them with you on your person so that they can kind of pick up and absorb your own energy and vibrations. Sometimes I'll even sleep with my bag of runes under my pillow at night. Now, when you read your runes, it's very, very important to trust your runes' first answer. The reason I say that is a lot of people don't like the first answer they get when reading runes because it's a very blunt, straightforward form of divination. Other forms of divination, specifically say tarot or using a pendulum, they can be a little bit more sugar-coated. They can be a little bit more diplomatic. Runes are not that way. So a lot of people will not like the first answer they get when throwing the bones, but it's very important to trust that first answer because the more you throw them, the less accurate it's going to be. Here's some example of runes. This is a set I've had for a very, very, very long time. I actually made this bag myself back in high school. It's very poorly made, actually. I should probably redo it. But this is my first set, and it is made from amethyst. As you can see, I don't know if this is going to focus or not, but it's amethyst carved and tumbled and painted with gold. That's another example. And then there's another set that I just got the other day. It's kind of what inspired me to go ahead and film this video. Now this is carved from obsidian, which is a very, very important stone to me personally. All that matters is that it resonates with you and that it feels like it belongs to you. So here's what these look like. Now, whereas my amethyst ones are like tumbled stones, these obsidian ones are almost like tiles. So, very cool. Also, whenever you buy a pack of runes, they typically come with a small booklet, or in the case of these ones, a card describing the meanings of the runes, which can be very helpful when first deciphering your runes. I'm going to be producing a series of videos as well going into the meanings of each rune. So if you need information, please feel free to look out for those. But in the meantime, these little cheat sheets are really helpful when you're first getting started. I'll also link down below some books about runes that I've personally found really helpful. Alrighty, so let's move on to reading our runes. Alrighty, so next we're going to talk about how you read runes. Traditionally, when you would use runes in divination, there were slices of tree branches that had the runes carved into them, and a priest would throw them onto a white cloth, or if no priest was available, the head of the household would throw them if it was a private matter. Obviously, I'm not using a white cloth today. I'm using a cloth I happen to have on hand. I'm going to show you a few techniques that are used when reading runes. So first you're going to seek out a peaceful, quiet environment, something away from noise, preferably away from electronics, some place where you're going to be able to focus and not be disturbed. It's also a good idea to meditate and clear your mind before reading your runes. Once you have done that, you're going to knock the energy out of your runes. This is a technique I also use in tarot. You're going to hold your runes in your non-dominant hand, make your dominant hand into a fist, and just knock the energy out of your runes. Do this as many times as is necessary. What this does is you're basically using your dominant hand to knock any residual energy that may be residing into your runes out of them. Next, you're going to hold your runes in both hands and just project your energy into them. Focus and clear your mind. Once your mind has been cleared, you're going to hold your runes in your non-dominant hand and mix the stones around. You're going to ask a question aloud to yourself, if possible. If you're more comfortable asking it in your mind, that works too. And then you're going to read your stones. Now there's a few techniques. This one's called the bundle method. Basically, you either empty all of your stones if your hand permits, or just reach into your bag and grab a handful of stones if it doesn't. My hands are a little small, so I'm just going to reach in and grab a handful of stones, and then you just toss them. Traditionally, you would only read stones that are facing up. So you see how these 3 stones are facing down? That means that traditionally you wouldn't read those. You would set them aside. Well, not set them aside, but you know what I mean. You just disregard them, because these represent things in your life that are unknown. So next you would read the stones that are facing up. Stones that are grouped together interact with each other. So for example, these 3 stones are kind of grouped together. That means that they are all interacting with each other. Typically what I'll do is I'll read the stones from me out. So for example, this one's Fehu. So this is the first stone I would read, and then you would work your way out. Now, basically it means that like the stones closest to you are the ones that are affecting you most immediately. And then as you work your way out, those are affecting you more indirectly. And these are all in reaction to that question that you had asked shortly before throwing the stones. Some people choose to read reversed meanings of their stones. Like for instance, this one, Fehu, is facing away from me right now, which means greediness, miserliness, hoarding resources, things like that. Other people don't read reversed meanings. If you're a person who doesn't feel like reversed meanings are something that really feels true to you, then you would read this as the non-reversed meaning, which is wealth, paying it forward, prosperity, things like that. So that's the bundle method. Another method that's a little bit more user-friendly and most people use when they're starting off with, especially if you're a tarot reader, is the past, present, future method. So again, you're going to mix around your stones with your non-dominant hand. Then you're going to reach in with your dominant hand and you're going to draw out a stone. Now this stone is going to represent the present, past, future. Easy enough. Another thing people will often do is they'll draw a 4th stone. This represents things that are acting in your favor, and this will represent things that are acting against you. Easy enough. It's a very non-traditional way to read runes. However, it's super, super user-friendly. Now, another method that's very similar that people use is called the 4-stone method. It's a lot like the past, present, future method, except there's a 4 stone. So basically, this is the past, present, future, and this is the energy that stays constant throughout all 3. Very easy, very user-friendly. Next is the Odin 9-stone method. This one's definitely more for advanced users. However, if you want a more detailed reading, it can be extremely useful. So how this works is you're basically going to draw the stones in this order. Okay, so let me break this down for you. This column represents past factors upon your question. This one represents present factors upon your question. This one represents the outcome of your question. This shows the energies required of you in order to deal with each of the previous 3 columns. So this first stone represents the hidden influences that acted on you in the past. The second stone represents how you feel about these past events. This third stone represents hidden influences acting on you now. The fourth stone represents the attitude towards the present events. The fifth stone represents hidden influences acting on you in the future, any delays or obstacles that may prevent your outcome. The sixth stone shows your response to this outcome. The seventh stone represents the powers you need in order to deal with the past, the powers you need to deal with the present, and the powers you need to deal with the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video with me. I hope it was educational and hope it inspired you to look into runes some more. I know some people are a little apprehensive to start working with runes. They're worried about things like cultural appropriation or it just not feeling like a good fit for them. And that's perfectly fine. As someone from Norse descent, I've definitely been offended in the past by cultural appropriation. Not as much as some other, I always feel like I need to preface that because although the Norse people have definitely been oppressed and abused in the past, there are others that have had it far, far worse. However, with the popularity of Norse culture in modern society, I've definitely been offended. Definitely been offended before. However, that being said, you also have to take it with a grain of salt because the ancient Norse people were all about blending their cultures with other societies. I mean, the Norse people spread themselves all over the world. So if you're worried about stepping on toes when it comes to reading runes as far as cultural appropriation, although I am not a spokesperson for every Norse person, I am American, I'm just of Norse descent. However, I think personally that the ancient Norse people would be happy to see that this part of their culture is still here and that it's being used all over the world. After all, the Norse people spread their culture all over the world. So if you are not of Norse descent and you want to try runes, but you're worried about it, go for it. Just go for it. Believe me, because if your heart is telling you that you should be trying this, then there's a reason for it, and I'm giving you my seal of approval. Alrighty, guys, if you have any questions or any thoughts or insights, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell, and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Stay spooky.